Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Leader Lab. This is Leadership Shorts, quick thoughts to help you level up your leadership. My name is Chad Wright. I'm the founder of Forward Partners, and I am joined, as always, by my partner in podcasting, Emily Gray Steele. Emily Gray Steele, what are we talking about today?
One of the rhythms people seem to struggle with a lot is when to power through at the end of the day and finish a project or check a few more tasks. How productive are those evening hours when we pour through a project?
I think it happens a lot, and I've historically been really guilty of this, of just if I could just get this extra piece done or get this part finished off, and it is always a struggle. And I think it's interesting that you pair this up with one of the biggest struggles people have when it comes to rest is the daily rhythm of rest. We need to sleep well. That's what most people think of. But I think we need time at the end of the day, too, to wind down a little, to relax a little bit. Not a ton of time, but we need something, right? And that is really hard to do when we're putting in those extra hours. And what I've just seen this rhythm over and over and over again of really try to power through and struggle. It is not going well. The task is not getting completed, moving really slow. And I will stop and finally, just usually out of frustration, not out of wisdom, just quit and be like, you know what? Fine, I'll just do this tomorrow. I'll get up a little earlier. I'll take care of it tomorrow. Get up the next morning. That task takes 10 minutes.
Right.
It's amazing how much easier it is. And so
yes,
I think
when your mind isn't actively working against you.
Yes, when you're not exhausted. And the more I did this, the more I started to think through this idea that, at the end of the day, that well is empty. It's empty, right? The bucket is empty. There's nothing left. All the decision making you do throughout the day, all the creativity, all the calls and meetings and all that, just draining. And then we're going to sit down and put in really important work. Because by the way, if you're working on it at 7, 8 o'clock at night, it better be damned important work. This better be work that really matters. We're going to do some work that really, really matters at the last minute with nothing left in the tank. That's really not wise. And I think if we keep putting ourselves in that position, I think that creates a lot of bad habits and a lot of problems. And so this is just something I've wrestled with a lot in the past. And I look at all the clients we have that are like, yep, I don't have any times in the evening, but they work all these extra hours. And the question I always have is, how productive is that really?
Right. Well, you're spending all these extra hours to do it instead of just giving yourself the benefit of the doubt that you can do it at another time.
Yeah.
And I think one of our rules too is if you set the due date for Friday, you might as well just move it to Monday, right? We talk about that.
Yes.
Because if you get it in Friday evening, what are you going to do with it? Nothing. Exactly. So you might as well just move that due date to Monday and set yourself up for a better week.
Yeah.
And really, you think that you're saving yourself the time by spending extra time on it today. You're like, oh, I'm saving my tomorrow self the effort from having to do this. But really, you're not resting that evening. You're not getting the time you need in the evening. You're not doing the work you need to have a better day tomorrow, and you're not actually helping your tomorrow self at all.
Yeah. And I think what we're talking about really is just the intentionality of being intentional about when and where we work. If this thing really matters, am I giving it my best? Am I giving it my best effort, my best time? And we always use, I think I don't know if this is just a me thing or in the design world, we use the term fresh eyes. Let's put some fresh eyes on it in the morning.
1,000%.
And it's amazing how long, especially in the creative marketing world, we work late on a project, be like, yeah, this is great. And then we look at the next morning, we're like, oh, what were we thinking?
Or the other way around too, where you're sitting and looking at it and you're like, this is trash.
Yes.
And then you look at it the next day and you're like, there's actually some good stuff in here.
We could make this work. Yeah. And I think there's something to just being hyper intentional about those rhythms and being okay quitting at the end of the day and saying, you know what I did today was enough. And we've talked about that before, how hard that is.
Yeah.
That idea that the effort we put in, it was enough and it's okay. And there are times we get overscheduled. There are times, even as we're trying to be hyper intentional about this, there are still times we end up at the last minute working on something. It's going to happen. But it's trying to make sure that's not the norm, that's this unusual outlier. The norm is we quit at a regular time, and we know that there's always tomorrow. We know the tasks are always going to be there.
Right.
And we're okay. We can find some peace in that.
Well, we save ourselves whenever we do have the occasional time when we're like, yeah, we didn't have time to get this done. We got to get it done. So we're spending a few extra hours on it today. And even that has an intentional tone to it where we're like, okay, we know we're going to commit here, and then we're going to give ourselves some extra time, the next day or that weekend to recover.
Yeah. And I think really that intentionality then yields a lot of positive benefit, because when we're not intentional, we're doing whatever. And that's probably how we end up working late in the process in the first place, right? Is we're just not intentional. We're not choosing how and when we work.
Yeah.
And so I think there's something to that. Leaders, let's talk next steps. I want you to think about your rhythms. One of the keys to rest is the daily rhythm of rest, being able to actually take off at the end of the day, being able to do some activities that bring life back to you, being able to really wind down and prepare yourself and get good sleep. And I know a lot of y'all are laughing at that idea that that's even possible. It is possible when you're intentional. And so being able to stop and say, you know what, it's probably best if I look at this again in the morning. Let's put some fresh eyes on it. Just examine your rhythms and see, where are you spending those late nights really trying to power through? And is that powering through actually yielding what you want? Are you able to very easily get the task done, or is it just a real climb to try to figure out how to do that because you're just so exhausted? You got nothing left in the tank and you're trying to do your best work right there at the last minute. If that's happening frequently, be far more intentional about your schedule, because really there are times we can't control it. There are times clients come in and drop something in our lap and we can't do anything about it. Our bosses come in, drop something on our lap, we can't do anything about it. But I think most people's schedules are just riddled with a lack of intentionality. And if we can be more intentional, we can create the schedule to allow us to do our best work, to allow us to rest each day. And that will then lead into resting on the weekends. Being able to be hyper intentional about all that will absolutely change how you show up as a leader. Emily, if people want to send us questions, if they want to tell us it's completely insane, the idea of getting rest every day, what does that feel like? Where do they send that to?
To lab@forwardpartners.net.
Lab@forwardpartners.net. If they want to find us on LinkedIn, where we are putting out leadership content all the time, where do they find it?
@forwardpartner.
@forwardpartner. Emily, thank you for doing this. John, Porchlight Productions Vineyard, thank you for producing. Other Emily, thanks for bringing the vibes. And thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We will see you next time right here in the Leader Lab for Leadership Shorts.